and we are going to talk about our favorite sports moments of our life that we've witnessed, whether in person or on TV. Kyle, I'm going to start with you. You had to pick one in 27, 26 years of life. What you got for me?
It's tough because I've got two and I got to narrow it down to one. But the best sports moment that I can remember was the 28-3 comeback with the New England Patriots beating the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 51. And the reason why I picked that one and I didn't pick the other one, which was Malcolm Butler getting the game-winning interception against Seattle in Super Bowl 49, is because being down 28-3 in the Super Bowl, the game's over. The jokes were already being written. The memes were already on their way because it looked like the Patriots were going to get smacked. The Falcons looked like they were well on their way. They were one quarter away from winning a Super Bowl because going into the fourth quarter, the Falcons were up 28-9. And I remember famously that the Atlanta Falcons put on their Twitter page 15 minutes to go with, the score being 28-9. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the Patriots score 19 unanswered points in the fourth quarter to tie it up. They win the coin toss in overtime. They get the ball, and Brady just marches them down the field. And then James White gets a small little toss to the outside, carries it into the end zone for a touchdown. That game was so amazing to me because I didn't think it was going to happen. I really thought it wasn't going to happen. I just didn't think it was going to happen. Just because the deficit was so big and they didn't have time. And even when they were chipping away, it was just a situation was like, they just don't have enough time left. And I thought Atlanta was going to be able to generate some points in the second half after they had an early third quarter touchdown.
Field goal. I thought it was a field goal.
It was a touchdown. I think Devontae Freeman caught a little swing pass.
Right.
Got it up to 28-3.
Yep.
And I thought that they would have been able to generate some sort of points to get above 30, but they were never able to get over the 30 mark. So you had to give a lot of credit to the Patriots defense for really stepping up in the second half and allowing Brady and the offense to generate the comeback that they did. I mean, it's the greatest comeback in Super Bowl history. 100%. It's one of the most memorable games in NFL history. It's probably one of the top 3 Super Bowls of all time, just because of the significance that comeback had. Brady had his 5th Super Bowl, which surpassed Joe Montana, who at that time was regarded as probably the greatest quarterback who would ever play the game. And it was just a moment in time where you couldn't believe that it was actually happening. I sit here today, I watch that game every now and then just to kind of refresh my memory about it. It was just an amazing comeback. The only time that I've ever seen really a comeback like that with New England was maybe a couple years before, where I think the Patriots were down 24-0 at home to the Denver Broncos. This is when Peyton was on the Broncos at the time. They come back from 24-0 down and end up winning the game in overtime. Similar situation. The Patriots are down by 25 in the biggest game of the year. And they somehow managed to come back and provide the entire sports world a moment that it will never forget. And for me personally, I'm still stunned to this day that the Patriots were able to come back and get their 5th Super Bowl in one of the most dramatic fashions that we'll ever see.
I mean, let it be noted for the audience. I was one of the people that were blowing Kyle up that evening. Kyle got a lot of satisfaction. I actually rejected about 6 of his calls that night after the Patriots won. I did contemplate blocking his number. I contemplated turning my phone off. I almost threw my phone in the pool. There are a lot of emotions running through my mind when the Falcons choked. So, I vividly remember that evening, and then the second it was 28-3, it was just like, yo, your boy sucks. He'll never be better than fucking Joe Montana. He thought he was going to win. He thought he was going to walk in here and roll over. Dwight Freeney's going to get another one, because at the time Dwight Freeney was on the Falcons, and he had about, I think, a sack and a half, if not 2 sacks on Brady, because he was just torching with the fucking Hall of Fame spin move that he has or had. But nevertheless, you know what I'm saying? You know where I'm getting at. That game was incredible. That game was forever memorable, and obviously, as a Patriots fan, it's an iconic and historic game in itself.
Tom Brady's the only guy that I know who's ever beaten the internet like that. He's the only guy.
He's beaten time, and he's still beating time, and he has beaten the internet multiple times.